like, oh, one thing that I've definitely clashed with people in my industry when they say black people can't be racist. I'm like, that's nonsense. Anyone can be racist. Like, it may affect people differently.
What do you think racism is then? Because that's the question that I always say when people say that. Like, what do you think racism actually is?
I think it's an illusion.
How so?
I think it's an illusion just because you see all the people that are racist right now, it was taught to them.
It's true.
It was taught. Because let's be honest, like 500 years ago, those people ain't alive. Yeah, so growing up, you had to say something to your kids for racism to still go on. Like,
That's true.
All these MPs that are racist, like they are the white kids that their parents were like, listen, you're gonna go out there. Well, their parents might have certain conversations in front of them to make them think that certain things are okay. So you know how you hear people say, oh, what's normal for you? Normal for them is not liking black people.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
So,
But I think all people are race prejudiced to some degree.
Do you think they're race prejudice, or do you think they're
Bias.
race bias?
Yeah, like
Well, I think-
everyone has racial bias to some degree. You can't grow up in the Western world and not have any kind of racial bias to some degree.
We're biologically predispositioned to categorize people.
Yeah,
It's because your brain can't process, like, and it's kind of happens even when, like if I meet a girl, like I kind of want to see is she super feminist, is she super like, and that's me categorizing her. You know, where did she grow up? Do we grow up in similar or different, areas?
Because I think institutional racism, because when you have that conversation, I think institutional racism is a thing. I think individual racism is nothing to me. Like if I go into the shop now and the guy serving me thought I was a N-word,
Yes.
how is that adversely affecting my life?
Well, that's my point. As in, like, they can be racist, but it can impact you differently, like depending who's doing it.
Right.
Because if the police officer is racist to you,
so that's so the institution
Yes.
is a thing. But crazy? Is that your dog?
She's fine. She's fine.
I think when people say the black people can't be racist, I think that's what they mean.
I think
they mean is that we don't have an institution.
we don't have the power
to
for it
enforce that type of thing, and I think that's what they mean.
And I agree with that. Like, me being racist to you will probably have very little impact compared to you being racist to me if you were like, maybe if we were in public or I don't know, or whatever.
You're not going to adversely impact Pearl's life by calling her something.
No.
Because Pearl's still going to wake up tomorrow, do our podcast and, get things done. It's going to have nothing to... So, but when you have the power to influence her, if you had an army and you didn't like Pearl because of what she looked like, then it's a problem.
I agree.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's definitely a problem then.
I think that was the argument. They were saying that racism is prejudice plus power. Which I understand to some degree, but then I think I see racism as a behavior, and it's just you're discriminating on someone because of the color of their skin. Anyone can do that.
Anyone
can do that.
Anyone can prejudge someone based on the color of their skin.
How do you guys feel about things like affirmative action?
I understand.
I don't know if you guys have it here. It's in the US.
Can you define exactly what you mean before we
When I think of affirmative action, I think of like quotas.
hate it?
Like, for example, I could even think of one with women. So I worked in a sales like copier role, and it was very male. Like I was the only girl in the office, and they would always try to get girls to work there, but it was a terrible job. So of course,
I think the best person for the job should get the job.
Always.
Right?
Yeah.
I think the reason why affirmative action exists specifically in America is because there was a huge time where it doesn't even matter whether you're the best person or not. If you're black, you're just not getting the job. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you could be better than the white dude, but we ain't gonna hire your black ass. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what was a time in America for a very long time. So I understand why it exists.
I agree. I think, go on.
No.
My parents are both in the corporate world.
Right.
And, they've, rose to like partner level, et cetera, and all this. And it's like, if you had a team, like a sales team, if there was a black individual on the team, you knew they were the best one. And because if they weren't the best one, they wouldn't be on that team.